Alright, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. This is one of my black olive trees. These are a very deceptive name to them in that they don't get any olives, and they are not related to the Olea family, which is the family that gives the actual fruit olives. Not really all that sure why they're called black olives, but sure enough they are. They are Bucida species. This one, I've always thought of this one as being a Bucida Spinosa. And then I guess Molineti is actually a synonym and they mean the same thing, because I always kind of was wondering why the Molinetis look so much like this one, and I guess that they are just the one in the same. I'm going to bring in my Shady later. Oh goodness gracious, that was something to say there. I'm going to give that a hard prune today. This one I'm not really doing much with other than just showing off. It's been a year since I've updated either one of them. This one was when, a year ago I repotted it. I don't know if you guys can tell how much it's in bloom or not. I'm going to show you guys that a little closer up here in a minute. So I do struggle with which side I'm going to choose for a front. From this side here, you can see the trunk line a lot better. See the ramification. Where like on this side, and again, I'll show you guys in just a second here, but you can see all this foliage at the ends has a lot of little blooms on it. I really wasn't planning on doing a bunch of trimming today, but there are a couple branches I kind of want to take care of. Right up here I'm considering this to be the apex. I'm hoping the trunk line keeps going this way. So this one would be a branch. And then just right at the top, there's a little kind of a branch growing on top of itself. And then, see if I can get that to go in focus there. And you can see the little blooms just out at the end. That's at the end of almost all the branches, especially towards the top of the tree. Pretty sure you guys can see that. And then there was just a couple of these other ones just crowd themselves out a little bit. And since I'm doing this, I really am just kind of, a couple of these that weren't really crowding each other out or anything, I'm just kind of nipping the ends off. Just to keep it in check some. I haven't done anything since the repot. If I ever do decide to make this the front, I'll probably take all this branching off down here. But I'm leaving it just in the hopes that it continues to help the tree build a little bit of taper. And then just after the prune there, the other side, didn't really prune that much. This other one's really in need of a pruning. I'm going to bring it in here. This one's kind of pointing down a little bit there. And it seems to make it look a little bit better. Alright, and here is the Shady lady. You can see it's grown quite a bit since the last time. I do allow it to get an escape route. I don't know if you guys can, yeah, you guys can see that. Kind of a little bit out of laziness so that I don't have to keep picking it up from getting it blown over. I may put it back in a different spot this time, just to kind of maybe think about repotting next year. I'm not really sure. It is very hard to get all in the picture here at once. Just trying to give you guys all sides. Looks really interesting from a couple of different ways. And I kind of started out from here just because it's the easiest way to get that longest branch in the picture. I think when you look at it from this side here, you can see some, interesting movement in that trunk on the way up and everything. The last time I did do a prune on it, which again was a year ago, I had decided I'd go ahead and let another apex grow, and I say another apex. I decided to continue allowing it to get taller. I was always cutting off all of these sprouts that were coming up, and then I just kind of figured out that with as wide as it was getting, it was getting a little bit too wide to really do much with. And then, you know, tree does have to mature some, and so I figured the only way I could really let it mature anymore was up, because I kept having to cut this stuff back. I'm gonna go ahead and start just kind of pruning it here. Very hard to show you guys like some of the reasoning for most of this. I think the easiest way might be on this lower branch, and that would be, you know, this is all just one branch, and then like this one here is actually growing on top of itself and actually kind of hung up in this part. Even though, you know, so I cut that part off, and then I'm also going to shorten these up quite a bit. A couple other things I wanted to show you guys before I really got started was about a month ago, this thing was really blooming, and now these are kind of turning into little seed pods there. Neither one, just like the other tree, neither one of these get really pretty showy blooms. When you see them in the landscape, you can just kind of see the trees shimmer a little more than usual. They don't last very long, and then they just turn into those little tiny seeds. But I am just going to kind of go through here and, like I said, shorten it up quite a bit. While also just trying to keep the tree as healthy as possible. I'm going to show you guys all that. The other one's called the spiny one, but that's stuff I picked up just from trying to yank this guy out of the ground there. Sometimes I forget this one's got thorns too. I'm going to be quiet here in a minute because I might do a little time lapse here, just because this isn't going to be the most exciting thing in the world. But the way that these do grow on themselves like that, I don't have any of these. I've got a lot of these in my neighborhood, but I don't have any of these like right in my neighbor's yard or anything for me to kind of look at. I do try to look at the ones that I see when I'm out on my walks and my jogs, and just see if they actually grow on each other like that in the wild, or maybe just because they're allowed to go unchecked that they don't, and they really do layer upon themselves some. Hard to explain sometimes. I swear sometimes I'm getting older than I think, quicker than I think. But one of the things I did mean to point out when I said I wanted to show you a couple things, and I showed you the blooms turning into the seed pods there, was that you may notice, I don't know if it comes off in the picture as well, but this half of the tree, basically like that far half of the tree, has a lot more foliage on it than this half of the tree does. You can really see it there. But this side is actually kind of a little more in the shade. And then these branches here were actually kind of getting intertwined with another tree there. So I don't know if the intertwining with the other tree was maybe, you know, even the wind rubbing the leaves off, if being in more sun, because even though it was intertwined with the other tree, this was kind of on top of the other tree. So I don't know what made this half kind of do that. I mean, for all I know that there is a caterpillar that does eat just olive trees, and for all I know, I had one for a bit, and it just kind of lunched on half the tree. So like here it is. That's another reason why this side looks better, because it's the side with the foliage kind of facing the camera there. And then this side here would be the side without it. Anyhow, the last thing I'm going to do, I think on the last couple videos I mentioned, I wasn't doing videos when I repotted this at first. It's been in this pot probably for a good 4 or 5 years. I'm going to have to repot it soon. But it has some surface roots up here. I don't really remember if they were on there when I first repotted it or not. There's a couple that could, there's a couple down here that could almost be used as nabari. But you guys can probably see those kind of looping up there. I would like to consider repotting it soon. And so I figured maybe if I pop these out now, it can go through whatever kind of recovery it might need to do without them, however you want to put that, before I do put it through any kind of a rough repot. When I originally did buy the tree, I was just buying it to plant in the yard. I wasn't even into the hobby yet, honestly, and then I just kind of realized it was so small, I couldn't really trust myself or my neighbors not to be out there walking all over it or anything, so I was just holding off on planting in the yard. And then basically I just never have. I just kind of up-potted it and kept it in the pot ever since.